What is up, everybody? Me and Mrs. G are back working on this trailer. You want to see? So last time when we finished the last video on this, we were putting deck boards on. We got all the deck boards put on and screwed down. Now Mrs. G is sealing the deck boards. I bought these boards months ago, so they've sat in the heated shop, and I'm sure they've dried out plenty to be able to put some water treatment on them. But she's doing that. I just got the winch all mounted up. It's a 12,000 pound Badland winch. What I like about this one is get this. What am I doing here? You can either use it with the cord or flip the switch in here, and then it can be cordless. So that's cool. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to go about powering this winch, because I didn't want to have deep cycle batteries in here and have them go dead all the time, or when I go to use it the batteries are dead. So what I came up with is, on my last service truck I had one of these quick connect jumper cable kits. So what I did was the part, I just got it wrapped up in here right now, this part that would normally be hooked to the batteries like on the service truck, and this piece would be coming out the grill or down by the bumper. I took that and I hooked it into the positive and negative on the winch, so now that can just stay ducked in there. These leads are long enough that I just cut the jumper cable ends off and crimped eyelets on. I'm gonna run those cables under the truck along the frame and hook them to the batteries on the truck, and then I'll just have that quick connect, down here fastened to the hitch or something, because I only have one truck, so that's the only truck that'll pull this trailer. And if I need the winch, all I have to do is take that and hook it to the truck. So that's all done. The brakes were shot when I took them apart, so I didn't want to screw around with just changing certain parts of it. I bought all new everything in a kit. All new brakes with backing plates. It came with all the hardware. It came with all new wheel bearings, new drums, everything, even new lug nuts. So I've got them all mounted. I'm just getting ready to hook all my wiring up for them. I still got to weld that filler plate that goes across here. I got to weld that back on. With electric trailer brakes, you've got rights and lefts, and like if the sticker's gone or you're not sure which is a right and which is a left, the arm where the magnet is, you always want that arm to pivot towards the front. So that's an easy way to tell a right from a left. But I'll set you up, and we'll grease up wheel bearings and start putting the drums back on it. Deck looks good, Mrs. G.
Thanks.
This is one of my least favorite jobs, packing wheel bearings. seem to have acquired a head cold this weekend. Got snot coming out of me non-stop here. It's nice that these brake kits that I ordered online just came with literally everything, so it's all new now. You just took all the old stuff off, threw it in the scrap bin. Don't have to reuse anything. The axles on this trailer have the grease zerk on the end, so there's like a channel drilled through the axle, and then there's a hole back by the inside bearing, so then it pushes grease all the way to the front. Just got to make sure if you have that style axle that you have a correct seal, otherwise it won't hold that grease and it'll all push out into the brake drum. Some seals put in here. I kind of feel like just sitting on the couch at this moment. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna last today out here. All right, grab some brake cleaner and spray these down and wipe the machine oil off of the drums. We'll put them back on. All right, I used a Scotch-Brite pad to clean up where the seal goes. See this grease zerk, it has a channel all the way through, and the grease comes out right here, right in front of the seal, and then it pushes the grease all the way out through the bearings. Some people get a little wild with the grease gun. You don't have to put 430 pumps in it every month. Like, all that happens is the seal can only take so much pressure. It will leak past that, and it'll fill the whole drum full of grease. And then your brakes don't work. God, this is a messy job. I probably could have put it all together without packing them bearings and just waited to the end and used that, but I just feel a lot better if you do it on the bench first, so you know that those bearings, all the rollers have grease packed through them. So everybody has their own ways of tightening up wheel bearings. You don't want them too tight, but you also don't want it to be too loose, because then if it's too loose, you have end play in the bearings, and they'll sit there banging back and forth on the race. So as a rule of thumb, what I do, especially with all brand new bearings and new races, is I'll spin it, and then I'll just bear down on it, tighten it up all the way to take all end play out. And then I'll normally back it off like one of these flats worth. Just like that, because the bearings will wear in and loosen up a little once they take a seat with the race. So you don't want it too loose to start with or too tight. Just backed off enough to give it some in play. If this was like a semi hub where you have the two nuts, like the inner big nut and then the locking nut on the outside in an oil bath hub, the way I do them is the inside nut, I tighten it down, bear down on it, then I back it off, and then I take a torque wrench and I tighten it to 50 foot-pounds, and then I take the outside nut, the jam nut, and just tighten it up. But that's that. Get my cotter pin in. I'll take a grease gun and grease this till grease starts pushing out here. Then I know the whole hub's packed full of grease. As far as setting the brakes, these are right there now. I mean, they're just starting to drag. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to tighten the adjuster until I can't turn the drum. And then I'll back it back off. All right, it's getting pretty hard to turn. All right, I can't turn it now. That's like 5 clicks off. 6. Just want it to where you can spin it and it's not dragging. It's just off of dragging a little. And that's that. So I can see the grease in that bearing starting to push this way, so that tells me this hub's filled up. So once that's filled up like that and the bearings are packed, then whenever you do maintenance on the trailer, like, you only got to give that a couple pumps of grease. You don't have to go bananas on it. It's already packed full of grease. There. Put some anti-seize on the lugs. I'm gonna back this brake off another click or so because it's still hanging, dragging just a little bit. I'd say probably about 10 clicks off of it being tight. 10 clicks is what I loosened it. Probably get my light out of there. Came with new lug nuts also. Okay, just do that 3 more times. All right, it's the next day. I worked on this thing as long as I could yesterday, and then I finally just crashed, but got some sleep, feel a little better today, so let's finish this thing up. Mrs. G finished sealing the deck. It looks good. I got the other side, the brakes and the tires are back on. I'm down to just setting this brake. I got all my wires hooked up. The polarity doesn't matter. So the magnet that actuates the brake doesn't care which wire is the positive and which one's the negative. So I'll finish putting this back together. All right, it's all together. See if I did it right. Okay. That should have applied all the brakes. Yep, that one's on. Can't turn that one. Yep. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Should hear them all release when I put this. Yep. Sweet. All I have to do is route that cable on my truck and weld this filler plate back in right there, and it's done. I'm gonna try my hardest to keep this thing inside, at least make a spot for it to be in the cold storage, because the tires last so much longer. They don't get all weather checked from the sun, and since there's a winch on this one, I'd rather it not be out in the rain. Let's go for a little trip to the paint booth. I'll show you something else we got going. Well, we can't have one trailer that looks all pretty and then have this one looking the way it does. It's pretty much pink. You can tell by, that's the color it used to be under the stickers. This is my tilt deck, 14,000 pound trailer. I bought this brand new. So I power washed the hell out of it the other day, and then me and Mrs. G went over the entire thing with Scotch-Brite scuffing pads. I told her to just tape in a little ways so I didn't overspray on the deck. She taped the whole deck off. That's sweet. But took the breakaway battery and all of that off. I got a new one because that one was shot. This is why I wanted a deck over instead of this tilt deck, because this ledge on the side, you can't side load a pallet of anything on it without having an empty pallet to make up that space. It's really nice for loading the skid steer and cars and that kind of stuff, but if a tractor is set wider than on 30-inch rows, it won't fit between them fenders. So each of them have their own purpose, but the rims are all sanded and ready to be primed. I'm not going to paint underneath it or anything. It's not rusty. This thing never gets pulled in the salt. And I'm not going to tilt that up to paint either, because the paint is still shiny red underneath there. I'm just going to psh, psh, psh. And that's that. Well, I got that filler plate welded in on the back of the deck. Made some room in the cold storage. Look at that beauty. Gonna open the doors up here and put this thing away. The only other thing I noticed, I need to make up some new safety chains, but other than that, this one's good to go. Let's go prime the other one. Well, she's all sealed off with epoxy. Give it a good foundation for the paint. Gonna get the rims painted white, and then tomorrow morning spray her red. Well, it's the next day. I've been quite motivated today. This morning I sprayed the red. Last night I painted the rims. It turned out really nice. I just finished sealing the deck with Thompson's water sealer. She's shiny. I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to let the paint dry a little more before I put all the candy cane DOT stickers on, and before I mount that new breakaway kit right there. But Case IH red. Got two pretty darn nice trailers now, but I'm the most excited about what's coming in the booth next. Right there. paint some orange. Well guys, I think I'm going to call this video here. If you like watching the videos that me and Mrs. G put out, please do us a favor and hit the sub button. We would love to grow the channel, and we appreciate you watching. Thanks. Have a good one.